Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Nintendo. God, I love Nintendo. Well, used to. We're going to start this video off with the good. Nintendo's done a lot of good things for the gaming community. I mean, Nintendo literally was responsible for saving the gaming scene. Back in the day with, things like the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64. Nintendo was the first to do 3D gaming, and they started a lot of the tropes that we have today in games. And so I have to give credit where credit is due. Nintendo used to be the best gaming company, hands down, in my opinion. In fact, most of my favorite games are still Nintendo games to this day. I mean, this is the company who released things like the Legend of Zelda series and the Mario series. I mean, Nintendo has a large hand in Pokemon. I mean, they have Mario Kart, they have Smash Bros. I mean, they have so many different franchises that have made them a very, very good company over the years. My main gripe with Nintendo nowadays is the hardware. As everybody already knows, their hardware has been lacking very severely for the last several years at this point, be it with the Wii U underperforming or with the Switch 1, where literally the Steam Deck could emulate Switch games in better graphics and frame rate than the Switch could play them natively. That's insane. However, the problems kind of started with the Wii. The Wii, it was a good console, don't get me wrong. I have so many hours of playtime on the Wii that it's not even funny. Several thousand at the very least. And while the Wii was revolutionary for a lot of different things, the main problem was the motion controls. And for a console whose main selling point was motion controls, they really did not do justice. Of course, the hardware of the time just wasn't quite capable of it. I mean, there's a reason that the Switch was so good with its motion controls, because, they've had over a decade since then to perfect it. But I guess I have to say my main problem with Nintendo is they've completely fallen off. They seem to not really care about their player base anymore. They don't really seem to care about the people who have grown up supporting them. I mean, I never owned a console that wasn't Nintendo until I was 14 or 15 years old. I mean, I literally grew up on Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64 and the entire GameCube era. I mean, I grew up on all of that. So it makes me really sad to see the things that Nintendo is doing lately. For example, the whole emulation problem. The whole, court battles with Yuzu and the development team behind it. It's if you don't want people to emulate your games, then provide us with a game that's actually playable. This may sound a bit stupid, but bringing us a game like Breath of the Wild that was such a revolutionary title for the entire Zelda series, but the fact of the matter is that everything is outshadowed by the game only being playable in 30 FPS. And especially when it was moved on to the Switch, it was still in 30 FPS. And same with Tears of the Kingdom. It's I'm sorry, but I can't get past that. My first experience of Tears of the Kingdom was on a Steam Deck, emulating it on a Steam Deck at 45 FPS. That's insane. How is it possible that a company that is that big can be so easily outdone by their direct competitors? It doesn't make sense to me. It just goes to show that they don't really care anymore about actually innovating in the field. And that's a problem that I can't really look past anymore. Because if it was just, the Wii U and then the Switch was very successful. The Switch was a good console, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it wasn't. I'm just saying that it was underpowered for what it was priced at the time, and especially now with the Switch 2, where we still don't currently know exactly what the specs are. And until people get their hands on the console, we won't know. And that brings me into the future of the company. Like, I'm very concerned for where Nintendo is going to go from here. I mean, the Switch 2 has already had its fair share of drama surrounding it. I mean, with the whole brick drama, it's like, yes, it's not a brick when you buy it, but the fact that they can brick it remotely, and I mean, anybody with a brain can see where that kind of thing would lead into. It's like, yeah, they're most likely not going to just start bricking people's consoles just because they disagree with them. But the fact of the matter is that if you purchase something, you should have the rights to that physical item. If I want to mod my console, then I should be allowed to do that. If I'm paying $500-$600 for a console, then I own that version of the console. I own that physical console. Nobody's arguing that, you know, we own the Switch itself. We're arguing that we own our physical copy that we have purchased, and therefore modding it is something that we should be allowed to do without fear of Nintendo literally bricking the entire console. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that nobody really seems to be talking about it is something that kind of bothers me. It's like, when did we become okay with not owning the things that we purchase? Why are people okay with their console potentially being taken away from them because of a glitch? What if a glitch happens and consoles start coming up flagged as being modded, and then they just brick the entire console, and then because of an error in the system, hundreds or potentially thousands of people end up with a console that is completely useless now, and it can't be undone? So again, it leads into all of these what if scenarios that could easily just be avoided by just not doing that in the first place. Like, just allow people to own the console that they fucking paid for. Like, I don't understand. And I mean, it's a much bigger problem within the gaming industry, as evidenced by the latest Ubisoft drama, or Ubisoft, however you pronounce that. I don't really care. But back to Nintendo. One of the things that pisses me off the absolute most is that we do finally get 1080p 60 FPS games for, you know, games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but it's locked behind a paywall. Are you kidding me? So if I purchase Tears of the Kingdom for my Switch that I had to purchase for, you know, $300 to $400, if I then purchase Tears of the Kingdom for that console for $70, and then I purchase another Switch, the Switch 2, for another $500, you're telling me on top of that, I also have to pay a fee to play the games that I already paid for? I'm sorry, but obviously the answer is I'm going to keep emulating them. There is no point to that. Plain and simple, there is no reason for that outside of we just want to gouge people for as much money as we can possibly take them for. That's what that says to me. That says that to me that they don't care about us anymore. All they care about is pleasing their shareholders. And as the consumers, it's our job to not feed into that. We are actively being screwed by Nintendo, and nobody's talking about it. Like, it's insane. But anyway, this is just the ramblings of somebody who used to like Nintendo. If you like this kind of content, consider liking and subscribing. Leave a comment if I got anything wrong. And I'll see you in the next one.